What happens when you compare yourself to other people? I bet it starts making you feel like absolute crap. You start looking back at yourself and questioning, are you good enough? Are you as good as this other person over here? And are you going to be able to catch up? Or vice versa, if you start comparing yourself to somebody else that's not at the level you're at, do you start slacking off because you're going, oh man, at least I'm not like that guy over there? See, comparison is going to be something that you face on your path to tapping your true potential. And you've probably felt it already during this time that we've got together, even before we've gotten to 90 days. You've probably looked at people that are already past where you are and compared yourself to them. You've probably looked at people that are behind you and compared yourself again. Or maybe you're just starting out and you're saying, I'm around all the people at the bottom. I can only go up. I'm at rock bottom right now. And no matter what, during this video, you're going to see how comparison can be the thing that makes you quit, or it can be the thing that makes you succeed if you know how to use it correctly. Now, let's look at what comparison actually does. It's a natural tendency. In order for us to know where we are in any sense of the equation, in any sense of our world, our environment, we have to compare ourselves to where we are to where someone else is. We look to other people to see, well, where are you at? What have you done? If we don't compare ourselves to where we are now and to where we want to be, or seeing someone else that's already achieved it, then it makes it a lot harder for us to figure out how to get there. Because think about it this way. When you see someone that's already achieved what you want, you've got a perfect person to model. If they have what you want, then you figure out what they did to get there, and then you just copy that. So many people miss out on the crucial aspect of modeling somebody else, their behaviors, their actions, what they did to get to where they are. Because if all you do is start modeling the people that are around you, which is what you do unconsciously if you're sitting around people that aren't where you are, you start doing their behaviors. You copy the people that you're around, which is another reason why you want to surround yourself with exceptional people. People that reach success at breakneck speeds do so because they surround themselves with people that are better than they are. But this is getting off the track of what we're talking about with comparison. When we compare ourselves to somebody, we need to know who we're comparing ourselves to. If you're comparing yourself to somebody who's slacking off and your work ethic matches theirs, you're going to get the exact same thing that they have. Now, also, if you're starting to compare yourself to someone else who's put in more time, has much more experience than you do, there's going to be that anxiety to feel like this person's way ahead of me and I can't catch up. I can't catch up to them because they're already years ahead of having more experience, more time, more effort put in. And at this point, that anxiety can be overwhelming to somebody to the point where they say they just want to quit because they see someone else with massive success and then they compare themselves to that, saying, I don't have anywhere near that amount of success or any at all. And when you keep trying and you keep failing and then you compare yourself to somebody else, it's easy to start thinking that there's no hope. But that's not true at all. There's always hope as long as you don't quit. As long as you keep taking steps forward every single day and just getting a little bit better, you're on the right path. Now, one of the common things I hear is don't compare yourself to others. Just stay in your own lane. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. And I think that's BS. And the reason why is you need to compare yourself to other people. You have to know where you're at right now and where you could be if you do what the people that have what you want have already done. If you're not comparing yourself, you have no idea where you're going. You have no idea what it is you have to do next. And that becomes really difficult. So instead of comparing yourself to somebody that's not as good as you and just giving you a false sense of accomplishment, and instead of comparing someone else that is way ahead of you and having this sense of inferiority, start comparing yourself to people that are around your same level. Somebody that's just a little bit better than you are. Not a lot. Maybe they're a couple weeks ahead of you rather than a couple of years or a couple of decades. Somebody that's close to where you want to be and where you are currently. And compare yourself to them. What are they doing that seems like it's working for them that you can model, you can copy, and you can use? Because sometimes if you start looking to try to model people that are 10 years down the road, you don't realize all of the lessons that they learned at that time. If you're trying to copy where they are now, that's going to be extremely overwhelming, especially if you're doing it by yourself. So instead, copy somebody that's where you are right now. Who's where you're at in the process? And the other thing is looking to compare yourself to how you were yesterday. Because as long as you're taking steps forward, as long as you're getting a little bit better, that's what matters the most. Not necessarily I have to be number one, but just the fact that you're getting better. You see, this is something that I think school and competitions really unintentionally messed us up as kids as we're growing up, because they had competitions where everybody's competing and they're either number one, the winner, or they're everyone else who are the losers. And so this kind of thought pattern started making people thinking, I have to be number one. I always have to be first place, number one. And if I'm not number one, I'm nothing. Now, this mindset didn't come about for everyone, but it's come about for enough people that when they compare themselves to someone else, they feel inferior and then want to quit. They say, what's the use? I'm never going to be number one. I'm not going to be as good as that guy over there. So what's the use? Why bother trying? But there's a great part of trying, because you don't have to be number one. No matter what, there's always going to be someone better than you are. Just accept that, because you don't have to beat out everyone else. You don't have to conquer the entire landscape. What you have to do is just be the best you that you can be, getting a little bit better every single day, challenging yourself in comparison to who you were yesterday, and comparing yourself to who's about your same level right now. Because when you notice that there's no winners and losers, you start thinking differently, that you don't have to be 100% on top. You can be one of the top 10, one of the top 20. You realize the goal that you have, you could be in the top 1,000 of people and still achieve the goals that you want. So you take that pressure off of yourself of always having to be number one at everything. Now, I'm not mad at competitions. As a matter of fact, I'm a huge proponent of competitions because it lets you showcase your skills. It forces you to get out there and use what you've been practicing, what you've been working on, and you see how it stacks up to everybody else. Because if you have competitions that you don't track anything, then you don't have a competition. You never know who won or who lost. So it's not so much about looking at who won and who lost and making someone feel bad about it. It's about you being able to consistently work on your skills, consistently compete at a high level, not just with yourself, but with everybody else when it counts the most, showcasing what you've learned, showcasing what you've worked on, and becoming a better competitor because of it. Here's some of the downside of comparison, because it can bring two very, very high emotions: envy and judgment. So envy, you start looking at somebody that's better than you and you start thinking about all of the things that they have that you want. And this is where it starts destroying you from the inside out, is because when you start envying other people and what they have, that means you're not being appreciative and having gratitude for the things that you have, which I guarantee you, somebody else is looking at you and wishing that they had your life. Now, when you look at that and you say, I can't be appreciative of what I have right now because I'm only looking at what someone else has. I'm only going to be happy once I have what they have. Then you keep pushing your happiness to some point in the future. You keep saying, I'm only going to be happy when, but you should be able to be happy on the entire process. Not thinking that you have to get to a certain goal point before you'll start being happy, because it becomes a fallacy saying I'll only be happy when something else happens. And then that something else happens, and then it's not good enough because now the goalpost has moved again. Get away from that idea of envy. It's okay for other people to have stuff. You don't have to have what everyone else has. You just have to focus on getting what you truly want. Then the second part of this is judgment. When you start judging somebody else, saying they got to where they are because they cheated. They got to where they are because they lied. They got to where they are. And then you start going, that judgment, saying, I have to judge this person. They are not a good person because of whatever. And then you start looking at that judgment. And then when you point that finger out, you got three fingers always pointing back at you, because you start judging yourself as well, saying, am I worthy enough? Am I a good enough person? This guy out here has already got everything, which that makes me not worthy of all of that. Maybe I'm not good enough to be that. Maybe I can't get to that level. And when you start judging yourself in that aspect, that's when you start thinking of quitting. And we don't need to quit. There's nothing worthwhile in that. We don't need to judge ourselves because we're comparing ourselves to some other kind of crazy aspect, some other crazy ideal. This aspect of judgment also makes people think some really weird idea that in order for somebody else to win, they have to lose something. It's that comparison of going, I can't be happy for this person's success because that means something's been taken away from me. Like there's only a certain amount of success available. And for somebody else to have it, that means I have to lose out. And that's not it at all. This is part of being excited for your competitors. Be excited for their wins. Celebrate with them because you can grow together with them. You're not competing against them. You're growing with them. Be excited for them. Congratulate them on their successes because it doesn't take anything away from you. And in fact, when you build those relationships, you're actually building up that goodwill. You're building up that effort so you can keep pushing forward. And those people are going to want to support you just like you're supporting them. You can take competition completely out of the game when you start looking at where you can support others. Where do you go from here? Start comparing yourself to who you were yesterday. What fears have you overcome that you had yesterday? What new thing did you accomplish that you had on the to-do list yesterday? Who have you become and transformed into as a person that you weren't yesterday? You see, us moving forward in life, especially during these 90 days, and every 90-day chunk we set from here on out is focused on one thing. It's us becoming better versions of ourselves. Because all of that accomplishment is us becoming the person that we want to be, that we know we can be. And the more that you focus on just becoming a better version of you, better than you were yesterday, the further along you're going to get. And you're going to get all of the successes you want. Anything you want, you can have, as long as you become the person that has that type of stuff, that has that lifestyle, that has that freedom, and you don't lose out for anyone else. So think about that as you move forward today. How have you become better today than you were yesterday? And every single action that you take today is focused on you becoming a better version of you. So you realize comparison can be an amazing tool when done right. So let's just recap this really quickly. We want to compare ourselves to people that are on our same level. Be inspired by those who are better than us, but compare ourselves to people that are on our same level and compare ourselves to who we were yesterday. And as long as we're moving forward, we're making progress and we're getting better and we're moving in the right direction. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited because you can finally take back control, that you don't have to compare yourself to other people and make yourself feel bad. You compare yourself to you and you know that you feel good because you're growing every single day. I'm so excited to see you tomorrow. I've got a really big one planned for you, but that's all I'm going to give you. So until tomorrow, take action now.